awesome. What's your name? She nailed it. Okay, so I had the honor when I was a student teacher. You guys have any student teachers right now? They're fun because they were like new and excited. I would come to class at 4 a.m. and stuff. Okay, I started student teaching in Southern California, and I walked in this junior class, and he was in it. And I knew of him because I was growing up in Southern California, and now he was a junior in an English class, and showing up in this class with kids that were comfortable with each other, had known each other a long time. My master teacher was amazing, but she didn't notice those little things kids do, like the cute girl that would walk through the door, and the guy, Curtis is really proud of how well he does it. But the cute girl that would walk in the door, and the guy would do what? He said, go ahead, show us. And then, so. The funniest thing, I saw a grown man do that the other day. I said, I can't believe you're still doing that. But you guys learn it young, and that's what the kids would do. And they're seeing this cute girl, and they think she can take it because she's popular, right? And she's cute, and they think she can take it. And then there's this big guy that walks in, George, and they're making fun of him, calling him slow, and he's rock on the football team, telling him he's an idiot. And it wasn't cool. And I sat there and I observed, and I thought, that's interesting. I guess she's busy, she doesn't notice. And I thought to myself, man, when I take this class, or any class, I don't want students of mine doing that to each other. But I remember being that person. So I sat there and watched, but then David walked in. And as Shay said, when David was in that class, he'd raise his hand to speak up. And even though he had no fingertips, no ears, he was burned from head to toe, he was the only kid that would wear a high school allowed to wear a baseball cap because he was never going to grow hair because he was burned beyond having hair follicles to grow hair. He was out all kinds of surgeries because he couldn't compensate him enough skin grafts on his body for his growth. They would do skin grafts regularly for him to grow because the skin would split and bleed. He would, by appearance, when kids find things to make fun of, kids could have said, man, this guy's different. But they left him alone. When David was in that class, he would raise his hand to speak up. I noticed that every kid in that class listened. They respected him. They fully respected him, and he did deserve the respect. The difference was that he wore a story. Maybe here's David Rothenberg. He changed his name to Robinson. He didn't want his dad's last name. His dad had a drug and alcohol problem, was fighting with his mom, kissing his little boy when he was 7 years old, the boy in Park Hotel. Gasoline was gasoline. Set fire to him. Fire department comes in thinking they're just putting out a random motel fire. They retrieve a little boy and save his life. We followed David's story. He was on People magazine. He was in the news all the time. There was books written. He wrote a book. He was really well known. And people felt sorry for him. And they were going to make fun of him for not having ears or looking different. Because, man, he had already gone through enough and they knew it. They looked at him and he wore that story. And they said, man, we're not going to mess with this guy. Well, you know what, you guys? Is I got to know other students in this class. In every class I've ever taught since, people have stories. I've yet to meet someone that wears it like David. I have met a girl that had scars up and down her body, little nicks from her aunt on heroin that decided just to start knifing her. I didn't meet a kid like that. I did meet a girl that carved, I want to die across her arm, and later added a T just to save herself the embarrassment. She wore that scar. But nothing like David. But as I got to that cute girl that was down through the door every day, and the boys thought she could take it because she was popular. One day I shared my story about being a teenager and some of the hard things I had gone through. She came to my desk crying, saying, Mrs. Irv, I haven't told anybody. I need to talk to somebody. My dad was real held me at gunpoint. He said he'd kill me and my mom if I ever told, and we raised him. And it's happened before, it happened again. But he's not in my life anymore, Mr. Richard. Make an excuse. No, he's gone. I have a really good stepdad. And I looked at her and said, your mom doesn't know? And we both cried, and I took the phone. You know that's a hard phone call to make. And that girl did not need to walk through the door every day, having someone think it's just a random joke that she can take because she's popular and cute, cough and hoe out, say a slut. She did not need to hear that. She has scars, you guys. She had been through enough. If those scars that her dad put on her were worn on the outside like David's scars his dad put on him, you know what? They would have given her respect for sure. And then George, the big football player, blocker, every time I sign something in that class, he'd be like, Mrs. Harris, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, George, you know what you're doing. You've got it. It's good. And he keeps questioning himself. And I said, really, where's that come from? Why is that so secure? And as I got to know George, one day he comes to me and said, Mrs. Harris, you know what? It'll never be good enough. I said, what do you mean? Because I go home every day, my dad tells me I'm an effing idiot. I'll never be good enough. I'll never amount. I play football just trying to measure up, trying to have him to say one day, good job. And I never hear it. It's never good enough. I just want my dad to say, good job. And the kid was so insecure. He didn't need to come to school and have that reinforced, did he? Because every time his dad said something that put like a little knife in his heart or took a little nick on him, if he wore it on the outside, you guys would have known it and you would have left him alone. But instead, he came looking like he could handle it. Big blocker on the football team. I'm telling you those stories, you guys, and those stories aren't unique to Southern California or Northern California where I work. They're here too. You guys have them. You guys have them in your Abbott class. Last year I had an Abbott student, she was a senior. She came out for the first time unless she'd been molested. You didn't know. You guys all have scars. If you don't, if you knew others had them, guess what you do? You treat them like they do. So, we're here not to be so sorry. Was I right? I told you why we're talking to you. The Roseville High School Cheer Helpers are here because we care and we have scars too. We wear scars inside and outside. We've been abused and neglected. We've been hurt by others and have hurt ourselves. We have parents who hurt too. We struggle with purity, honesty, and integrity. We self-esteem of drugs and alcohol. We're here to be open, honest, and trustworthy. Will you listen? Will you change? Will you try to make a difference? Join your helpers to make a difference. Give respect to others and yourself so you can get respect. Look at people from the inside out. So we're going to expose our inside scars so that you guys will look at people differently and therefore treat people better. And I even am telling my story because you know what? Teachers have scars too. So when we're talking to you, respect, for us, the base of everything is respect. Because you guys come into a classroom, you treat it well, you treat people well, treat each other well, it all transfers out. So as these guys are up here sharing their story, I want to remind you, they're not sharing, so you feel sorry for them. It's real, and we change whoever shares every day. We have different people from each class that can share out of all my classes. But they're sharing with you guys because they care and they want to make a difference at Roseville, and they know that you guys have scars too. And so please give them your attention and respect.